Hey, what's going on guys? Joseph White here and you're watching another J-Dub Twins video. Today I'm going to be installing the Hellcat air filter. The air filter that drops into the air box that typically goes into the Hellcat. I'm going to be putting one on the Scat pack. Actually, if you look here, I actually installed the Hellcat air box for a couple of reasons. One, so that I can actually have a functioning front air inlet. Now this is actually functional. In one of my first videos I mentioned that these air inlets were functional. I stand corrected, they aren't, but when you install the Hellcat air box, it does allow this front headlight to be functional as an air inlet port. So I already took off the screws for the top portion of the air box, and I'm going to just be doing a quick swap out. You know, I've been told that the Hellcat drop-in filter breathes better. They measure it in CFM, cubic feet per minute. If you look here, this one says dust capacity 75 grams at 478 CFM, max airflow 731 CFM. So at maximum dust capacity, it's only getting in 478 cubic feet per minute of air, while maximum airflow is going to be 731. I'm tracking that the Hellcat airbox at its maximum dust capacity still lets in as much as the max airflow of the Scat pack drop-in filter. So we're gonna do a quick swap right here. So let's throw this bad boy in real fast. And what I'd also like to get a reading of is if there's any difference at all in air intake temperature. So what I've been told is that we may see an increase in the cold air that is flowing into the intake box. So we'll check that out and see how that looks. There we go. All right, we'll tighten the screws back down and go for a drive and test it out. So I never did an initial analysis of the stock Scat pack airbox before switching over to the Hellcat airbox, and that was my mistake. I should have done that. But looking at forums, it seemed that people said they were averaging between, you know, 8 to 15 degrees above ambient temperature. So far, when I was driving, when I swapped over to the Hellcat airbox, I was at temperatures as low as 2 degrees above ambient and temperatures as high as 15, you know, at idle or when I was doing city driving. But for the most part, I was at an average, I'd say, of 5 to 7 degrees above ambient temperature. With the Hellcat drop-in filter, I'm looking at 89 degrees outside. It says 88 degrees outside, 93 degrees Fahrenheit intake air temperature. So we're looking at 5 degrees. Now the transmission temperature, I'd say, is still maybe not as high as it could be. I just got on the road, I wouldn't even say 5 minutes ago. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let the engine warm up a little more. I'm gonna take this down the freeway, do a couple of pulls, and just see what we're sitting at as far as intake air temperature. That was a hard pull. It actually surprised me a second. So we've been going for a minute. Currently, ambient air temperature right now is reading at 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Current air intake temp, 93 degrees Fahrenheit. So, 4 degrees above ambient. Transmission temperature is climbing, of course, as the car warms up. So to me, you know, this is a good thing, right? The engine is getting warmer, but the intake air temperature remains the same, right? We don't want the intake air temperature to increase as the engine temperature increases. However, as the engine temperature increases, it will increase, it will decrease the time that it takes for the engine to heat soak, right? So after I take it up and down the freeway, we're gonna park it for a sec. We're gonna look at what that temperature looks like, heat soaked, and then we're going to see how long it takes in order for the car to push out that hot air once we get back on the road. I'm gonna get some footage of me doing another pull back onto the interstate here. So much fun. Okay, so we've been sitting in the parking lot here for about, 5 minutes or so, 8 minutes. And as we can see, air intake temperature is at 114, well above ambient by over 20 degrees. At this point, another 4 degrees will be at 30 degrees above ambient, which makes sense though, right? The engine's hot. Our trans temperature right now is 172 degrees. If we look at our other gauges, oil temp 221, 204. So there's hot temperatures in the engine bay right now. So naturally, the intake air temp's going to pick up. What I want to see though is how fast can we get back as close to ambient air temperature as possible. Right now we're at 88 degrees Fahrenheit, so let's take it back down the freeway. The way that we're going to expel this hot air is by, getting that airflow back in and, accelerating, sucking in that cold air, expelling the hot air through the heat extractors. So let's go ahead and do that. (104), 100, 98. Now as it was sucking in that cool air, it was dropping, but then as I let go of the accelerator, we're starting to rise back up. So let's just see if I can continue to let that cool air in. Currently at 100 degrees. Trans temperature is rising, of course, because I've been getting on the accelerator here. Let's just put on cruise control here. Get a consistent flow of air coming in. So right now we're 10 degrees above, 9 degrees above actually, ambient. And we're dropping 95. So as you can see, we were barely on the road for like 2 minutes after being at 122 degree for intake air temp. And now we're down to within 7 degrees. Now of course, should I have tried this same test with the stock airbox and to see if there was a difference? Absolutely, I should have. But I guess for me it was really just getting the functionality, the actual functional front air inlet for the airbox. For me, this was a less expensive modification as compared to getting a cold air intake. Quite honestly, I think they're pretty gimmicky. But here we are back at 6 degrees above ambient, and so that's pretty much what I wanted to show off, or just kind of see and show you guys too. Does it really make a difference? Like, and honest to God, if it I think it does, right? from the forums, average air temperatures, 10 to 15 degrees. Here we are at 7. Like I said, I range from 5 to 7 degrees above ambient, sometimes as low as 2 degrees. I've seen 2 degrees above ambient. So I think it's a good modification to make. More cold air into the engine's always a good thing. And not to mention, it's a lot less expensive, you know, compared to these cold air intakes that are upwards to 400 bucks. Here we have something that's still OEM, right? It's a Mopar item. It fit perfectly. Didn't have to finagle and, you know, make, you know, some MacGyver type of modification to get this aftermarket part to fit. This is an OEM part, and it was completely compatible with the Scat pack. It adds, you know, the functional air inlet, cools down your engine. It's pretty practical. I think it's a very practical modification if you ask me. So pretty much it, guys. 93 degrees, 4 degrees above ambient. That's fun, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next video.